at this moment, we're gonna get started just so that we can be respectful of everyone's time. My name is Fatima Salcedo, and I am one future Coachella Valley staff member. I'm also an OFCV alumni and also a COD alumni. So thank you for those of you that decided to join this webinar today. I'm super excited to be here today and to be, starting the second webinar of the third session, the third week of our leadership webinars this month. For those of you that are joining us today for the first time, I just wanted to remind you a little bit about who we are. One Future is a nonprofit organization that focuses on not only helping students graduate from college, but also help them prepare for their careers and for their lives. So in other words, we want you to not just graduate from college, but to also be ready to go into the workforce. And we do that through different programs and different initiatives that we have in One Future. And one of us is a scholarship program that we have that a lot of you are part of. So thank you for joining us again. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the Anderson Children's Foundation for sponsoring this month of leadership webinars. Thank you so much. And Brianna, if you're connecting today, joining us for this webinar, thank you again on behalf of One Future Coachella Valley for your support. I also want to remind attendees to follow us on social media. OFCV has its own social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel, which is not listed here, but I highly encourage you to look us up, One Future Coachella Valley, as we will be posting the recording for these webinars on there. And also for those of you that are scholarship recipients for the 2020-21 academic year, make sure to follow the Instagram account for this year's cohort. We will be making a lot of announcements and reminders through there. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to know when there's upcoming deliverables. And then before we get started, I also wanted just to remind you of a few guidelines for today's webinar. Remember to be respectful of everyone's questions and comments. We do highly encourage you to join, to use the chat and the Q&A feature to ask any questions or share any comments that you may have. So please know that we're here to help and to answer any questions. No question is a dumb question. So please feel free to send those our way. And also, I wanted to encourage you to continue to build on your vision board. We introduced this concept at the beginning of our leadership webinars this month, and we just ask you to start either drawing or just kind of drafting a little bit of what you want to set as goals for this upcoming year. So for this specific webinar session, we want you to start reflecting on some of the resources that are going to be mentioned during the presentation and that you could begin to, take advantage of. Also, what academic habits can you change or do a little bit different in order to be more successful? And just kind of relating it back to that personal mission statement that we did with Ernie last week, think about your goals and missions that you have been setting up and how some of these resources can help you with those. And then at this point, I just want to introduce you and pass it on to Jose Simo and Rubi Becerril from College of the Desert that will be presenting today on academic preparation and resources to help you succeed. Mr. Simo has been one of my mentors. He was my college counselor at COD. And if you haven't met him, haven't had the pleasure to meet him, I'm gonna tell you something. When I went to him, I told him that I wanted to graduate in 2 years, that I wanted to get out of COD in 2 years. And I remember him looking at me and he was like, Mija, if you wanna graduate in 2 years, you're gonna graduate in 2 years, but you gotta follow the plan. So we made a plan and I got out in 2 years. So I say that to say, make sure that you listen to your advisors, tell them what you want, what is your mission, what is your goal, and let them help you and guide the way. And then Ruby, one of my colleagues, and also I remember going through College of the Desert, I had the pleasure to meet her in one of the student clubs and also as part of One Future. She's also an OFCB alumni and is now with COD. So at this point, I want to pass it on to you both. I will start sharing my screen so that you can share yours, Ruby.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you, Fatima, for all that information and that introduction. My name is Rubi Becerril. I am currently the outreach specialist at the Dreamer Resource Center at College of the Desert. Like Fatima briefly mentioned, I am an alumni of College of the Desert as well. And also I'm an alumni of the One Future Coachella Valley Scholarship Program. So it's always a pleasure to be able to support the program, but also be able to share information and resources with all of you. At the end of the presentation, I do have my contact info in the presentation, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Whether you're going to COD or another campus, we're happy to help you and just be here for you.
Thank you, Ruby. Hi, everyone. My name is Jose Simo. I'm one of the counselors at College of the Desert. And I've been at College of the Desert longer than most of you have been alive. So I've been there 21 years. Prior to working with College of the Desert, I worked for Coachella Valley Unified School District. I was elementary school teacher and also counselor there for about 11 years. So I've been in education now for about 31 years. I like what I do. I like working with students. I like helping or serving my community in any way that I can. And so I hope to be available to you. For those of you that are going to be at COD, I welcome you to come into my office or to schedule an appointment with me as we move forward. For those of you that will not be attending COD, the best of luck to you. I'm sure you're going to do great. And so our presentation is about student success and what do we need to do to have success and for you to complete your program of study and for you to move on into either the workforce, into your career, or possibly transfer on to a four-year university if your career choices dictate that you have a higher level degree, like a bachelor's degree or even a higher level. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And I don't think we have the ability um, to actually converse back and forth. And I wasn't sure if we were going to or not. But one of the questions I was going to ask you guys is, when people ask you, why are you going to college? What was going to be your response, or what is your response? And we kind of got ahead of ourselves with the slide, but that's okay. If when I talk to students, in most cases, what I hear is to earn more money, right? To have a job that's going to pay well. And let me start by telling you, if you have a college education, you're going to do okay. But I hope, and I truly mean this, I hope that you will choose a career, you will choose a major that is a right fit for you. And what I mean by that is I hope that you're going to find a career, select a career that makes you happy. At the end of the day, you're going to be working for about 35 years, somewhere between 35 and 40 years. And during that time, I hope that you like what you do. Like I said, I've been in education 31 years, going on 32, and I still like it. And I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position that I actually enjoy going to work. Although nowadays, going to work just means I make my bed, turn my computer around, and I'm at work, right? A little different than normal, but I still like what I do. I still like being able to help students. So, so the first question that I have for you, and it's mostly for you to think about, is why are you going to school? And hopefully you are selecting a career, you are selecting a major that makes sense for who you are as an individual person. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead. Yeah. And so the next question I have for you is, do you know which career is a good fit for you? If not, then how do you figure that out? You know, how do you know what's going to work for you? And I think we have a poll for you guys to take.
So I'm
And
gonna go
it's,
ahead
have
and
you select?
I'm gonna go ahead and share the poll. So go ahead and take a minute to think about this and share your answer with us.
Do you know what you want to do, or are you currently undecided? So do you know what major and career you're going for?
And we're gonna give it a little bit more to get a couple more answers in. All right, if you haven't voted yet, I'll give it a few seconds before we share the results with all of you. All right, so as you can see, it looks like we have 14 of you, or 88% of our students attending this webinar who are decided and know what they want to do for their career. So that's great. That's great. And we have 2 students, or 13%, that they have an idea, but perhaps they're not too sure. And you do want to let you know that it's okay. It's okay if you are unsure. This is why we have the services that we have. This is why there's counselors available for you to be able to sit down with someone and discuss what it is that you want to, the idea, or maybe the kind of idea that you may have, and to help you figure out what would be your next steps in kind of discovering what it is that you want to do. And we don't have anybody who's not decided, so that's good.
Okay. So I want you to know that even though you have a pretty good idea of what it is that you want to do, there's still a very good chance that that might change over time. I know that what I wanted to do at the age of 18 was different when I was 20, and then that was different when I was 22 and after I graduated from university. And now I'm 54, like I said, older than most of you combined together. Well, maybe not all of you, but at least a couple of you. I'm at 54, and I'm still not always 100% sure what I want to do when I grow up. But I like what I'm doing so far, so we're going to stick to it. So it is not necessary that you have a clear understanding, but of course, the sooner you know what it is you want to do, the better. Especially for those of you that are going on to a 4-year university, and a few of you are. Of course, a Cal State, a UC, they're more expensive, so you want to, you don't want to waste any time. But for the most part, the first 2 years of your college experience, the first 2 years of your college experience is what we call general education. That means that for the first 2 years, you're going to be taking courses like English and communications. You're going to be taking courses in the physical science and biological science. You're going to be taking classes in the arts and humanities area. You're going to be taking classes in social science like history, psychology, anthropology, and so forth. You know, in high school, how your counselors kept telling you A through G requirements? Well, the first 2 years of your college experience is mostly that again. It's a lot of general ed. So if you start out as a psychology major and after your first year, you decide you want to do business, that will be absolutely okay, because pretty much everything that you're taking will count for both degrees. The only time where we really need to make sure, well, not only time, but if you're going to be a STEM major, a science major, normally we want to get started with your math right away. If you're not going to be a science or STEM major student, I would say don't take math your first semester. We can pick that up in spring. But most of you have probably already registered for your classes. But it's just something to think about. So we have time. And I know, like Fatima mentioned earlier, she wanted to get it done in 2 years, and I applaud her for doing so. But I also want you to know it is not a race. Not that many students complete their bachelor's degree in 4 years. And say you complete your degree in 4 years versus 5. The only thing that means is that instead of working 36 years, if you complete your degree in 4 years, versus if you complete your degree in 5 years, maybe you work 35 years before you retire. So at the end of the day, it's not really how fast you get through it. It's about enjoying this journey that are going into. Okay. So I can tell you, while you're in college, you're gonna have more flexibility. Maybe be able to do a study abroad program. You'll have more time to do um, activities with your friends and families. Once you start working, you're lucky if you have a couple of weeks vacation, or your life really becomes a little bit more structured. So don't be in a hurry to finish so fast that you're not enjoying your journey. One of the things I never got to do was study abroad. Although I did go to Ohio, and that almost seemed like a whole different country to me anyways. But enjoy your journey while you're at school. It's not about who gets there first. It's about making sure that you're following um, what it is that you really want to do. And that takes us to the next slide. Okay, so one of the most important parts about being a successful student is knowing yourself, knowing what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it. If you're telling me that you want to be an engineering student, I hope you can explain to me why. If you're not so sure, then we may want to rethink it. If you want to go into psychology, can you tell me why? Why is that something that's how is that going to be a passion in your life? What do you hope to do with it that's going to be really meaningful to you? And in every day, going to work and enjoying what it is that you do. So most colleges, College of the Desert, and I think most colleges that we can think of have what's called a career center. At COD, it's called Career and Workforce Solutions. Every center may have a unique name, but the Career Center is usually a great place to sort of figure out or learn a little bit more about yourself. And you might be telling me right now, oh, I know myself. I've been with myself for the last 18 years. Yes, but do you know how people see you? And see, we see ourselves, and in our own minds, everything is 100% perfect, and we know ourselves completely 100%. But sometimes, we want to take a better look at uh, how we operate. What are your areas of strength? What are your likes? What's your personality like? And so most career centers are going to have a number of assessments that are going to help you kind of take a closer look at yourself. One of those assessments may deal with values or values clarification. What are the things that are important to you, right? Do you value making money more than value helping people? And that doesn't mean that you can't do both. But generally speaking, there are things that are valued that motivate us and drive us to accomplish our goals. Another assessment may focus on how you like to operate on a daily basis. It's usually called a strong interest inventory, or RISEC. And that one usually deals on how you enjoy work. Realistic might be a person that likes working with their hands. Investigative is someone that may like the sciences and problem solve. Artistic, you like to create. You like to make something different or beautiful or give it a different twist to it. Social, that would be like probably Miss Ruby and myself. We like working around people. We like helping people. Generally speaking, we're people, right? Even though I'm very shy and introvert, I prefer being with people than being alone most of the time. Entrepreneurship or business oriented. You like meeting goals, and you like, you know, uh, achieving higher every day that you are moving along. conventional, you like structure areas. So there are assessments that will help you take a look at that. Other assessments are about your natural intelligence. Um, I can I can tell you that I like problem solving, and my first major in college was computer science, and I could do it, and I like problem solving, but I wasn't working with people. As a counselor, I'm still doing a lot of problem solving, logical, math, not so much mathematical, but very logical, kind of figuring things out. So I'm still doing a lot of problem solving, but it fits who I am as a person, which is social, right? And so what is it that works for you? My wife, she can dance, so she's bodily kinesthetic. Me, I have two left feet, but I go out there with her and make a fool of myself sometimes, and that's okay. But what is it? What are the areas that you are more naturally good at? And can that be your career choice? Or should that be a part of your career choice? And the answer is absolutely yes. You want to be happy with what you do. And personality type, how you see things, how you sort out things. And so we all have a unique personality, sort of, right? But with the different tools that are available to you, you can look at people who have similar characteristics as you. No one's going to be just like you, just like your fingerprint or your eyeball is different, your DNA is different. No one's going to be 100% like you, but people who are similar to you, what are the career choices that they have made and that they're happy with? And so those assessments can help you to do that. So I think we have a question for you, or a poll for you right now. We're going to go ahead and take a minute and do that. And the poll is, have you ever taken a career awareness assessment, or like a personality inventory type test? Maybe you've done it in high school, and maybe you have not. And if you're not sure, you can indicate not sure. So let's go ahead and take a few seconds to get that done. And then Ms. Ruby will take a look at it and she'll give us some feedback.
We have a couple students that are still voting, so we'll give it a few more seconds. All right, so we'll go ahead and share the results. So it looks almost even in terms of who has done it and who has not. We have 7 students that have taken some sort of career awareness assessment. We have 6 students, or about 40%, that have not. And we have a few that are not sure what that is, about 2 students. So this is what that looks like.
Very good. So, if you know yourself, if you understand yourself, and you have chosen and you're choosing a career that works for you, the chances of you of being successful in college is going to be much, much greater. If I'm going to college because, my parents want me to be a doctor, or right now I'm getting a lot of students. It seems like every other student I see wants to be a nurse. And I get it, right? There's such a big need for nurses, and with everything that's going on with COVID-19, a lot of people want to help out and they want to be nurses so they can be on the front line and take charge of this epidemic and, serve the community. And I think that's great. But if that's not really, who you are as a person, maybe that's not the best fit for you. Believe it or not, I had a student who did all the nursing prerequisites, all of it, applied into nursing, which is our most competitive program. 200 students, 250 students, 20 available seats. She got a seat. She made it. She was set. She dropped within like the first 2 weeks into the semester. And when she was asked what was going on, she says, I don't like touching people. Okay, obviously we didn't think that through from the beginning, right? And so understanding yourself and what you like and what motivates you and what's going to make you happy should be the leading factor in choosing a career. And if you know what you want to do, then you're going to get there and you're going to be successful. And that's what we want. All right. So for those of you who have already a pretty good idea, and even for those of you who don't, one of the first things we want to look at is education, right? So if you want to be a nurse, you could do that with an associate's degree at COD, or you could do it with a bachelor's degree from one of the Cal states. And so that might be the level of education that you might need. But if you want to be a teacher, either high school, elementary, you're going to need a bachelor's degree, and you're going to need a teaching credential on top of that, which in many cases may be part of your master's degree, an MA or an MS, right? And some of you may want to be experts in your field, so you might decide to go for a PhD program. Or you want to go into the medical field, so that might be an MD, a medical doctor. So depending on the career choice you want, that may also determine how much education you're going to need. And so I kind of put up this pyramid to show us, entry-level positions, maybe a certificate or an associate's degree. And then we move up to a bachelor's degree, a 4-year university degree. A master's degree is usually 2 to 3 years more. And a doctorate degree can be 3 to 7 years, depending on your doctorate and depending on the university. So for those of you that are looking at, medical field or, becoming experts, and, you might be in school for a while, and that's good. Generally speaking, how much you earn is also influenced or affected by your level of education. Usually the higher you go up in the ranks of higher education, usually the more money you make. Again, money isn't going to make you happy. They say money doesn't buy happiness, but it does help, and it does rent happiness. I love going on vacation with my family, and I like having toys. So, having money does help, but don't let money be the only factor. It's about who you are and what fits for you, right? So that's the main thing. And we have this other pyramid. Just wanted to talk about the types of educational institutions. Many of you already indicated you're coming to COD, community college, and I'm hoping that your COD experience will be a stepping stone. And by that, I mean you're going to do 2 or maybe 3 years at COD, and then move on to either a Cal State or a UC or a private school. And then Cal States are universities where you could usually earn a bachelor's degree and a master's. Some may have some doctorate programs, usually in partnership with other universities, but primarily bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. UCs are better known for their research methodology courses and being highly research institutions. And they also tend to have most of the PhDs and MD programs. And then private schools are not necessarily the top of the pyramid. Some private schools actually require very little for you to get into them. But I did put them on top mostly because they're very expensive. So if you're going to go to a private school, I think that's great, but make sure you do your homework. I myself attended community college, and then I went to a 4-year private university in the state of Ohio. Like I said, almost a different country for me, but and it was a great experience, but it was also very expensive. So I ended up graduating and having quite a bit of loans I needed to repay. I don't have any regrets. I enjoyed my experience there, and it was a very good school for me. But traditionally, I don't necessarily encourage students to go for private schools because of how expensive they are, even though I went to one myself. Who figures, right? So that's higher education in a nutshell, and it's important to understand that because it's important in how it's going to affect the career choice and then the schools that you may want to transfer to. And then I want to talk about advising. Um, Academic advising, that's my role. I'm your academic counselor. And so I help students understanding your major requirements. So if you're going to be a business student, I'm going to talk about economics and accounting and business law. If you're a psychology major, I'm going to be talking about developmental psychology, research methods, statistics. And then I'm also going to be talking to you about your general eds. Again, the easiest way for me to explain this is A through G high school requirements, very similar. You have a certain group of different clusters that you have to pick from and satisfy those requirements. So English, math, and those kind of areas. And I will be hopefully your counselor, and I'm gonna help you set up a student educational plan. And by that, I mean, I can map everything out for fall, winter, summer, next fall, next winter, next spring, and get you out in 2 years if that's your choice. If you are a science student, math, chemistry, biology, physics, do not expect to get out in 2 years. That usually doesn't happen. That it's not going to happen at a UC, generally speaking, that you're going to finish in 4 years either. So traditionally, students in the science areas where you have to do trig, pre-calc, calculus 1A, calculus 1B, multivariable equations, engineering physics, all that heavy-duty math stuff, math classes, not stuff, math classes, it's going to take longer. It's going to take longer. So, just give yourself that time. It's not a race. But I'm your counselor. I'm the one that's going to work with you with your planning and helping you with making sure that we're looking at the universities that you want to transfer to, making sure that we meet those requirements so that when you apply, as long as you have the good grades, you should be able to go to the school of your choice. And we have students from COD going everywhere, from UCLA, Berkeley. Every year we have students transferring everywhere. So not an issue. It can all happen. Of course, it comes down to you and your grades primarily. Okay? And then there's faculty advising. So who knows? This might be, I can tell, it might be a business professor, and they might be talking about, how to set up a business plan, right? And this is off class, but he's working with you still, working with his students, advising them about their career options, maybe talking about recommended universities. So if you want to do business, and your goal is cybersecurity, Cal State San Bernardino is probably better than UC Riverside or maybe even UCLA, because Cal State San Bernardino has one of the best programs in the state for cybersecurity, right? But if you want to do accounting, you might want to consider, he might be advising you to do Fullerton. Fullerton is really known for their both accounting and international business programs, right? Or he might be, if different, depending on who the professor is and your career, they're going to be advising you in those areas. They might be talking to you about employment. I cannot tell you, what kind of employment you're going to have with a chemistry degree, but our chemistry professor will. And so he'll do that faculty advising piece, where I will do the academic and also personal counseling. And also, really, really important is for you to connect to your faculty in your area, in your major, because you'll network with them. Because just like for One Future, you submitted your letters of recommendation. You want to get letters of recommendation from your faculty. And if they don't know you, if your professor doesn't know you, he's going to say, yeah, Mr. Jose Simo, he was a nice student. I hope you give him a scholarship. Good luck with that, right? But if you get to interact with your faculty, with your advisor in your area, yeah, he's going to know more about your interests and your goals and what it is that you want to do. And he'll be able to write a letter that's going to be much richer, right? And hopefully help you get that scholarship. Also, your faculty advisors at COD, but even more so at the university, may help you with employment. They might know of an area that's looking for someone in the psychology or business or kinesiology or whatever it is you might be doing. So networking with your faculty, with your professors, can go a long way. Can go a long way. So make sure that you do that. Okay. And then the next slide, I'll let Ms. Ruby.
Thank you. So we do want to talk about the resources that are available, right? Mr. Simo covered, knowing what you want to do so that you can, really invest yourself in your career, being able to know the services in terms of advising, the options for transferring or continuing your higher education. But there are other resources that are equally important to be able to be successful and have all the support that you need as you continue on through your college education. And one of them is financial aid, right? As you have seen as a scholarship recipient, as you were looking into the schools that you wanted to attend, you saw the cost of it. And unfortunately, the costs keep going up. So financial aid continues to be one of the most important things that we want to consider, outside of selecting your program, selecting your school. So we want to just make sure to remind you, make sure that you apply for your financial aid. Whether you qualify for FAFSA or you qualify for the California Dream Act, make sure that you're applying. As you probably hear from, from One Future, apply before the deadline, March 2nd, because you want to make sure that you get as much financial support as you can to finance your education. Mr. Simo mentioned, right, that when he went out of state, he had to get some loans, pay them off. It's fine, it happens, and this is an investment into your education. But if you can avoid getting loans, why not, right? In terms of, there's some options. A lot of your school financial aid websites will have a list of scholarships that are available maybe in the area, scholarships that are scholarship search engines like the ones I have listed below. You can also do a Google search. So just know that applying to multiple scholarships is what you want to do. It does take time, as you probably noticed with the One Future Scholarship, you do have to put thought to it. But the way I like to think about it is like if you spend, let's say 2 hours, right, completing one application for a scholarship that's $1,000 and you get it, that means you just made like $500 in about 2 hours, if you want to look at it in that way. And this is money that's going to go into your education and help for you to fund it without having to rely on loans if you qualify to get loans. One scholarship application that I do recommend students to really look into and not miss out to apply is your campus general scholarship. Most campuses have one. College of the Desert has one. I know Cal San Bernardino has one, definitely. Other schools, I'm sure they do, but I can't confirm. This scholarship is one of the best ones that you can apply to because these are only for the students at that campus. So they're competitive, but not as competitive as if you were applying to a scholarship that's, let's say, nationwide. So we really do want to emphasize this. Personally, like Fatima mentioned, Mr. Simo, I attended COD, Cal San Bernardino, and I earned my bachelor's degree without any debt. But also, I made sure to apply to financial aid. I made sure to apply to as many scholarships as I did, of course, with One Future in their scholarship that I received throughout the 5 years that I was through college. And I was able to graduate with any debt. Right now, I'm working on my master's degree, and thankfully, as of right now, I don't have any debt or I haven't had the need to go for a loan or anything like that. But same thing, right? Because I applied for financial aid through my California Dream Act, but then also because I apply to as many scholarships as I can. Like I mentioned, you do have to put time into it, but it makes such a difference in just thinking about not having a loan when you graduate. Whatever money you start making when you get a job, that can go into other things instead of having to have some of it going into paying off your debt, accruing interest and all that stuff. So financially, it is really, really important to have that in mind to help you succeed in your higher education. And student services, each campus has so many student services available. Sometimes, at least for me, that I've been able to work with more students, when I talk to them, sometimes they don't know all the things that are available to them. And what you're paying for, right, for school is paying the services. So we want to make sure that you know about them, so that you take advantage of them. As you can see, we have a few that are the most relevant for students. Financial aid, like I mentioned, really important to be able to find those resources that you need to financially cover your education. Admissions, it's important to know about admissions, because if there's any sort of change that you need to do to your your student account, your student profile, this is where you would go. Mr. Simo mentioned briefly about the Career Center at your campus at COD. It's the Career Workforce Solution Center, and they have all kinds of resources. He mentioned the assessments, but they also have workshops about interviewing for a job, right? They have workshops about different fields that you can go into if you're interested in business, or if you're interested in something else. Some of them, depending on the campus, they even have kind of like a closet that you can go and either get or borrow attire for you to go to interviews, professional attire, and they'll give you kind of like tips on how to dress, dress, as they call it, dress for success. So all of these are super important. Here at College of the Desert, we do have our Dreamer Resource Center that provides support and additional services to our undocumented students, or our Dreamer students. Fortunately, a lot of the campuses, the UC system has an undocumented student program at every campus. So know that if you're transferring to a to a UC, they will have some sort of support if you're undocumented. Majority of the CSUs have this support as well. So just know that if you're an undocumented student, most campuses will have that support for you, and they will be able to guide you into accessing those additional resources. Health services, all campuses have health services, so it's for you to go check in. Perhaps you need a TB test for a job, or perhaps you're not feeling well while you're on campus. But they also have mental health services. Most of the campuses have therapists available. They may have a psychiatrist available. I know some campuses may also even have kind of like a small pharmacy on campus that may have medication or anything that you need, maybe at a lower cost. So just know that all of that, like I mentioned, by you paying your tuition and your fees, you're paying for this. So make sure that you are taking advantage. And then just briefly, there's additional student programs that you can take advantage of, and these are really helpful, especially for our first generation students. That I myself am a first generation student, and having this support of different programs, for example, EOPS, this is a program for students that are either first generation or low income, or that are from any disadvantaged background. Super supportive. So just any additional program that you find out about and you are eligible to apply, just go for it, because it'll be an additional help for you, and it will really help you, stay connected to campus and access additional resources as well.
So I cannot overemphasize successful students are students who take advantage of the resources on campus. All of you took advantage of the One Future Scholarship, so you applied, and you need to continue to keep taking advantage of the resources that are available for you. Counseling services, of course, I think most of the counseling I do is academic. I do some personal counseling as well. And so we're there to support you. The transfer center, normally we want you to start looking at transfer a year before you finish. So students who are going to finish this spring are going to start applying for transfer this October and November. And so again, make sure you use all of the resources. And the one I want to specifically emphasize more right now is tutoring and academic skills center. Tutoring services. Different schools will have a different title for it, but tutoring. The biggest mistake I see students do is they wait till midterm when they have already fallen behind to go to tutoring. at that point, it's too late. College, unlike high school, many professors will not accept late work. If it's late, it's done. They will not accept it. There is no extra brownie points or extra credit work, if you will. And so you need to make sure you stay on top of your game. So tutoring doesn't mean that you can't do the work. It just means that you are taking advantage of the resources that are there, right? And so tutoring is not because you can't do it. It's because you can, but you want to do the best possible work that you can do. You don't want, you want to make sure you get the A, if not a B in the course. And you want to stay away from C's. C's are not your friends. So in order for you to do your best work, it's okay to make use of all the resources that are available, and especially tutoring. I would say week 1, week 2, especially for math, if go ahead and get yourself situated. If you go in midways, it's too late. You're not going to catch up. And not doing well in a class can affect your financial aid. It can affect your scholarships, and we don't want that to happen. So again, make successful students make good use of all the resources, especially tutoring.
So this is it for us. This is the information that we have, and we hope that it was really helpful for you. Once again, here's my contact information. If you have any questions, especially if you're transferring to COD, feel free to send me an email. We have social media. If you want to follow us, that would be great. And then if you have any other questions or you're seeking additional information, we do have our website. Like we mentioned, we are working with the Dreamer Resource Center, so our services and our information is geared more towards our undocumented students, but a lot of the information applies to all students. So feel free to check that out as a resource. We do list scholarship opportunities there as well. So if you're looking to apply to some more scholarships, you can totally go into our website and get additional information.
And I just wanted to mention, I am the counselor assigned to the Dreamer Resource Center, but I'm also a general counselor, so I'm also assigned to general counseling. So you can reach me at Simo, J for Jose, Simo, Simo, at College of the Desert, and I'll put it in the chat box right now for you. So we look forward to working with you. And then if there's any questions, we're more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Simo and Ruby, for such a great presentation.